Welcome, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started. We have a pretty good number in here. Thank you for joining us for our educational series. And today we'll be discussing Epicor Kinetic Configurator. Just a note, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the question box. We'll get to them during the Q&A at the end of the presentation. Also, this session is being recorded, so if you miss anything or want to watch it again, it'll be available on the EUG website within the next 24 hours. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Cesare from Mindbox, who's going to give us our presentation today.
Hello, my name is Cesare. I work for Mindbox, an Epicor partner from Poland. And today I would like to show you or to talk about the product configurator in Kinetic. And we call it the secret gem of the system because, well, maybe you have it in your system, maybe you haven't used it for any purpose. So just this presentation is about what is it for, and what standard use it may have, and what kind of non very much standard use we can use it for. Okay, so let's start. The product configurator. What I would like to talk about today is basically about two things. So the first one is just standard and classic approach in using our product configurator is just a tool that helps us to understand or just to take an input from the customer or from the salesperson that is configuring our product, and just to transfer it automatically into our method of manufacturing in our system. So basically, just we would like to, by asking simple questions about how the product should look like, what it should do, what should be the specification of that product, we just create our sales order with the whole specification of what the customer is going to order, and then we can smoothly and quickly transfer it into the production order or job with the complete method of manufacturing, which is or maybe unique for our product. So we don't need to deal with hundreds and thousands of versions of bill of materials and so on. So this is the first thing we will go through, and the other one, maybe not so standard, is our usage of our product configurator as a tool for price calculation for a distribution transaction. So this second thing is just not related to any manufacturing stuff. It's purely purchasing and selling, but in this case, the configurator will help us with price calculation that will kind of depend on many factors. Okay, so let's start with the first thing. So the classic usage of product configurator. Well, I will use the example that is also kind of classic. So I will use a window configuration example, and what I would like to show you, and with this example, is just to how to use it in Kinetic Epicor system, and then what kind of I would like to talk a little bit about what we really have behind the scenes. So how we create this configurator, what tools Kinetic Epicor has just to facilitate setting up and creation of it. So basically, as I said, we would like to build a method of manufacturing on the job, create a new part number, and calculate the price. Well, I will now switch to the Epicor system. Well, I will start with a sales order entry, Actually, I've already entered a order header. So as you can see on the screen, well, we have order header, we have a customer. I'm switching to the lines, and actually I also entered a line. And this, what we have here is what we call a part or template. So the part that during the configuration session is being just configured. So as I said, this is our configured window. Okay, I'm just hitting the configure button. That will bring us the configuration screen. And on this screen, well, we can see, well, basically we can see all the parameters and all questions that we actually need to ask our customer, or the questions that the salesperson needs to answer, just in order to have like a full specification of our product. So, well, in our case, this is the window. So we are starting with the type of the window. Well, we can just select this or that, and or the other one. Okay, what I would like just to highlight is that when you really select a type of the window, you can see that each type comes with well, several styles that are available for this and that window. So basically, well, we can see that, for example, for this gliding type, actually we have only 3 different styles, and for this all-in-one standard, we have 4 grill styles here. So that means that we can build dependencies between various options and various choices here. Okay, let me go further. I will just select in owning, and well, on the right bottom screen, you can see that when I'm selecting actually the window type, also something is changing here. So this part, or this field here, is actually our new part number that we will be creating with this configuration session. So when I'm selecting this one and that one, you can see that well, another segment of the our part number is just added to this field. Well, so basically, let's select the predefine width and height, so the dimensions, and actually, well, we have also those dimensions here. So this is called Smart String in Epicor Kinetic, and this is like a tool that allows us, that facilitates the way to create a new part number automatically. Just this code can, of course, well, it can be many things, but it can also show us well, the structure and a little bit the specification of the product itself. Okay, I can just put some quantity here, and then I'm allowed to select some other parameters. Okay, so let's see, well, what kind of glass I need for my window. Okay, I have just 2 different options here. It's, well, I can have a window for northern climate or southern climate, and depend of that, well, you can see here we can have different options or different glass types. So the other well, set of choices we have for the northern, and of course for the southern climate we have something else here. And this is also a feature of our product configurator. It's called dynamic lists. And this tool allows us to basically to program or to build into our configurator various dependencies between various options. Okay, if I select pattern glass, well, then the next parameter is available for me. If I'm not selecting the pattern glass, it's obsolete. So basically, this pattern is not available. So this is the way it works. So let us select the floral one. Okay, and well, I've already selected well, let's say most of the parameters I need for my window. Well, let me just add to that some hardware. And then, well, if you can see here at the bottom of the screen, there are various fields that are actually components of our window price. And as you can see, those components actually also change dynamically along with our choices in regard to the window parameters setup. Okay, so for example, let's focus on the color price here. It's now 0 because, well, our default window is just a natural wood, has a natural wood pine color. If I select white, okay, if I select white for exterior or interior, you can see that our color price is changed. So basically, based on our selection of the colors, we can have a different color prices. So this is it. When I'm done with that, I'm just saying, okay, I'm done with the configuration. I hit save button, and basically my configuration is saved along with my sales order. And if I'm going to create a production order, a job, it will be also translated into the bill of material, a list of operations, and the method of manufacturing on my job. Okay, let's just do that. One more thing I need to mention, of course, this example is maybe not very complicated. As you can see, this is only one-page configurator. Of course, we can easily imagine that we have more than one page, that it's like 5 or 6 pages configurator with, let's say, hundreds of options that will allow us to, well, automatically, let's say, as I said, translate the salespeople knowledge into the manufacturing people knowledge. So streamlining creation of the production order, and creating a method of the on a production order. Okay, so let's save it. When I'm saving that, actually my configuration session is finished. So the configurator window disappears. Okay, let us go to this line, and actually let's refresh it. After the refreshment, well, it's not yet there, but it's now here. Yeah, okay, so I can see that my order quantity is updated from the configurator directly. I can see that my a unit price is also updated, and this unit price comes from my calculation. And I can see that my part number is created for this part, for like a specific type of the window. And also dynamically we have our description that is actually constructed with my choices. Well, so we have it here, and actually I would like to do the last thing in the live system. So I would like basically to create a production order out of that. Okay, so I'm just using well, the order job wizard that will allow me to create a production order just directly from my sales order. Okay, I have several options here. I can, first of all, I can just create the job, which does not make any sense, but well, it depends. In some, let's say, business environments, the creation of the method of manufacturing, which is get details, can be done later, just on the job. For me, I would like to create this method of manufacturing on the job, well, at the moment. And then what I can also do, well, but this is maybe not directly linked to the configurator functionality, but I can schedule a job and even release it, okay? So basically, I'm creating my job, and we will come back to that job in a minute. Well, actually, we already have this job number here. Okay, this is, let's open maybe the job now. I'm just going to the job entry, and well, I will be just opening the job well in a few seconds. Okay, well, we just need to wait a little bit for the list. Yeah, this is our production order, our job. Let's open this. Yeah, and then we will see actually the result of the configurator, the result of various rules and procedures and methods that the configurator is using. Right, okay, this is my production order. So, well, I cannot see it. One moment, probably wasn't able to load it for some reason. It was in the way. Okay. No. And yeah. Yes, this is my production order. So as you can see, well, we have our part number copied over here. We can see that, of course, this production order is a make-to-order job, and of course, it is linked with our sales order. But the most important part of this is actually that we have our method of manufacturing on it, just created exactly how we want it, because the configurator did the job of the translation of the, well, Q&A session with the salesperson, and basically what was created is our list of sub-assemblies. Here we have our window frame and window sash, and of course assembly operation, and well, we have also some operations within our sub-assemblies, and of course some materials here. And well, in these materials, we can easily recognize the things that we selected, like wood pine. Of course, our window was painted, so we have paint operation here, and so on. Okay, let me just leave Kinetic Epicor for now. And let's move to, well, to discuss a little bit how actually all that stuff is created. So basically, if we are talking about well, what we see in Epicor Kinetic during the configuration, well, actually this is done in the Configurator Designer tool, which allows us, well, which facilitates the possibility of building a form. Okay, so, well, here we have our window configurator, and here we can see, well, the design of our form with various controls available, and of course those various controls, they have various properties, and of course within those properties we can just put some code that is needed for the configurator to run. Okay, so let's just see a few options that actually helps us in designing this configurator. So that was the this actually is a place where we design this configurator screen. The next thing we need is actually we need to put some data in. We just need to, well, we have our options lists. We have our we have to have somewhere our different types of materials and so on. So basically, what we use for that, well, we have several options here. Yeah? One of the option is like, well, to use the standard BAQ business activity queries that will actually retrieve the data from, well, and they can retrieve the data for the configurator from any Epicor tables. But there is another option, well, which is called Lookup Tables. And actually this option allows us to create, well, as many, let's say, tables as we want, and those tables can keep all the data needed to run the configurator. So let's just see how that is done in the live system. I will maybe close this one. Here we have our lookup tables, and you can see, for example, here we have a window glass table. As you can see, we can create the structure for the table. So basically we decide what columns we would like to use. And then, well, we go to the real data in this table. So as you can see here, our glass type table consists actually of a matrix. So here we have our climate choices. Yeah, we just could see on the configurator form, and here we just mark in our matrix what options, what types of the glass are available for, well, two different climate choices. Well, so basically for the southern one we have 3 options, for the northern one we have 4 of them. So this is one example. Well, you can see the table, for example, that contains a matrix for the window hardware, and of course we can use those tables as we want for the things we need. The important stuff is that they are very easily to maintain. Yeah, we can just, well, very well known thing, just to copy and paste directly to those tables from the Excel sheet, or if we want, we can just export them or import them. And when we import them, it can be imported from the CSV type files. That means we can easily import Excel sheets into that. So this is how we keep our configurator data. Okay, let's go back here. Well, with this data, well, that's one thing. So we have a form, we have a we have the data. So how to manage dependencies between options? How do we know, or how we program that? Of course, yeah. Well, we have just those 2 climate options, and how we make that configurator knows that if we select northern, we have 4 options, and this is like the low A, smart sun, and so on. And if we select southern option, well, we have only 3 options, and this is pattern glass, sunglass, and smart sun. So basically we use our lookup table maintenance, and we combine it with so-called dynamic lists. So a dynamic list is basically a list of values that depends on some condition. Yeah, so basically, if we select southern climate, we have our three options visible in our window. If we have our northern climate selected, we have our four. For that end, we use a built-in tool that is called data lookup method. That is, let's say, closely related to those lookup tables. So this is how we actually manage the dynamic lists. So basically, a dynamic list again is something is a list that the content of that list depends on some condition we can program. Okay, so the next thing, maybe the most important in the configurator is well, a way or a tool to build a bill of material and a routing, a list of operations. So it's called just rules. So just by creating those rules and maintaining them, we can make selections in regard to what material do we need, what operations do we need, and so on. So let's have a look on that. Well, this is just one example from our window configurator. Here you can see this is our complete method of manufacturing. And where we have red dots, we have, let's say, our rules created. And those rules, basically, there are two rules. Or two, well, there are many of them, but the most important, let's say, mechanism here is called keep component when. So how does it work? So, well, if we have our, let's say, our bill of material, our routing, okay, we can have, for example, paint operation. Okay, let's just zoom in a little bit. Here we have our paint operation. And basically, of course, we need the paint operation just for the windows that should be painted. So if we don't need it, so for example, if a customer just selects the natural wood color, then our painting operation is just not needed. So in this case, we can say, well, keep it only when this window should be painted. Otherwise, this paint operation should be just eliminated. So, well, it is known in Epicor Kinetic as well, keep component when, and it is usually combined with so-called super BOM concept. Super BOM just means, well, we build our bill of material that contains every possible material and operation we need for any combination of options, and then by using keep component when, we just eliminate those materials and operations that we don't need. So basically, well, this method is mostly useful when we have not very big bill of materials, like, well, maybe 20, maybe 30 components, maybe 10 operations, and that's it. So this is our keep when rule, yeah. So which means eliminated unneeded components. By components, I think of materials, operations, but this also could mean the resources. So basically, employees, machines, equipment. Well, it can be that for some operation and for some material we need a piece of equipment, and for other we don't need that. Okay, so let's move on. And then we have, let's say, another technique that gives us a possibility to modify our bill of material automatically based on our configuration choices. So basically, this is like replacing component parts in BOM, or replacing operations, or replacing resources. So basically, well, let's zoom in here and let's see what we have here. It's about a material. Basically, this is about the window glass. Well, actually, this is a very simple rule because we assume that our glass SKU code or glass material ID is basically the value that we select on our configurator screen. So we just assign this value from our configurator form to our bill of material branch. And that's it. So we don't need to have all the options in our bill of material. We just need to have placeholders. So we don't need to have all the types of glass listed here. We just need one placeholder for the glass, and then based on our choices, we can just assign a part from our, let's say, material list to this placeholder. So this is it. So this is another example of how we can actually construct bill of material using our configurator. And then well, it's not the last thing we can do. Of course, we can do some calculations in regard to, well, how much material do we need for the production, how much time do we need to produce a piece of our product on this and that operation. So basically, let's see this example. Well, it's about cutting the window wooden material. Let's zoom in for that. So basically, well, we can have a kind of a very simple or more complex formula here, just to calculate, for example, the length of the wooden bar needed to create a wooden frame. And of course, well, it can be just, we can calculate the length, we can calculate the surface, we can calculate the weight, we can calculate whatever we want. And actually, after this calculation is done, we just assign this value to our, for example, our quantity per field in Epicor. That is, it's done dynamically, and it allows us to build our method of manufacturing and well, to create material requirement for the job in the correct way. So this is another piece of our configurator. And then, well, another example. For example, operation instructions. That's a very important part of a production data, of a production order. So basically, typically, when we have like a fixed bill of material, we can just write down those operational instructions in operational command field, and that's it. When we have a configured item, it is actually a little bit more complicated because, for example, we just have like dynamic dimensions. So a length can vary depending on the configuration. Well, so just to let people on the shop floor know how they should cut this, or how they should process another thing, we can dynamically create also comments or instruction for the operations. And in this case, we just put them in the comment field. So, well, here you can see the cutting glass instructions actually. So this is another example of what we can do with our configurator. Yeah, so, okay, let's move on. And then, well, of course, this is for this example, it's last but not least. Yeah, this is price calculation, and typically the price calculation is something that is more complicated well, it can have even several pages of the code, depending on the business needs, depending of the algorithm and so on. So for this, we can use so-called user-defined methods. So that means basically functions that are built in our configurator. And well, let's see. So this is like an example of our user definable function, and those functions can actually can be executed on the client, so in our client session of Epicor, and also they can be executed on the server. That means that we can retrieve and use in our calculations the values actually directly directly from our various Epicor tables. We are not limited to any lookup tables and so on. We can use the whole database by using the UD methods. Okay, so well, I think this concludes our first example. No, sorry, there is another one, but I already mentioned that about the part number creation. So the configurator allows us to create part numbers for each configuration if we want. It's actually a very flexible feature, because we don't need to create the part number for the configuration. We can use the initial part number, or template part number as we call it. But if we want, we can do it in many ways. So we can just create a part number for our sales order or quote. We can save this part number in the database for future reference, for future use. We can even create a non-configurable part out of it. Well, and of course, it does not end with the part. Yeah, if we can even create a method of manufacturing and save it with the part if we want. So basically, there are a lot of options, and this is very flexible. And depending on our business needs, we can use some of those. Actually, in my example, I was using the smart string that is actually built or constructed from inputs. So basically, my part number, as you could see before, consists of some segments that are kind of coming from the options we selected during the configuration sessions. Well, so this is it for my first example. So the let's say classic configurator usage, when what we really need is actually to create a sales order and to translate this sales order options into the production order. My second example actually comes from a distribution world. So it's about just buying and selling things. And my example touches the scenario. It's about the scenario that involves the price calculations that really depends on many factors. So this is my list of those factors that I used in my example. So basically, it's a transaction type, it's a supplier location, of course. Base of transaction type, we can have like a distribution scenario, we can have a drop shipment scenario, we can have some other scenarios. So basically, the price calculation can depend on that. Then we have our supplier location, as I said. So basically, the place from we source our material. Then we have obviously supplier price, distribution warehouse location, warehouse costs. They can be many of them. Also the transportation company can be a factor, or basically a transport cost normally is a big factor. So but we are not limited to that. Yeah, it's just an example. So we can also We can also include things like promotions, like coupons, discounts that are kind of linked to the customer. You can use anything you really want. So basically, in my example, I would like to use a quote, and I would like to calculate a price on this quote for a product that actually I'm not, it's not manufactured. It's just purchased and sold, and actually it's not even stored in the warehouse. Okay, let's see that. I've just entered a quote, and actually I already put a part number here. We are talking now potato starch. So basically it is a configured item, but actually it's a purchased item. It does not have, and we are not going to create any bill of material. We will be using our configurator just to create the unit price for that. Okay, let's hit the configure button. Okay, and then, well, we have our configurator screen. Of course, it's completely different from the previous one because by using the configurator, we always create our screens just they are customized screens. Okay, I have, as I said before, I can have different business transactions. Well, I will stay with distribution. I can select warehouse, one of several warehouses. Then, of course, I can have different suppliers. So when I'm selecting a supplier, a unit purchase price is filled in automatically here. Or if I'm selecting another one, a different unit of purchase price is filled in. Then I'm just saying, well, let's select the quantity. Let's put 1000 kilo. Okay. Then, as you can see, I have some costs. They are warehouse costs populated here. So it's warehouse entry price, its storage price, its picking price, its packing price. It's just my example. But obviously, we can add to that transportation costs. So basically, just by selecting, the warehouse, the combination of the warehouse and the vendor, I'm just the system looks for a transportation company that can handle it and that is in this region. So okay, I will just select a forwarder, so the transportation company. Well, and obviously based on the area and based on the zip code, well, I have my transport cost calculated. So I have the total cost of the transaction and the unit cost that will be copied to my quote. So basically, if I change this quantity to 10,000 kilos, obviously all the parameters are automatically changed. We have transportation cost recalculated, we have total cost recalculated, we have unit cost. Okay, when I'm done with that, I'm saving it. And actually, that information is copied over to my quote, and basically it can be quoted to the customer. As you can see, our quantity is updated, our unit price is updated, so our extended price is updated. Of course, I could also put the whole specification on the costs somewhere here on the quote, can make it visible to the customer or can keep it hidden depending. Right, so let's come back to the slides. So that was an example of the price calculation that is completely not related to any manufacturing. It's just a pure distribution transaction, and the configurator could be a great help when quoting those types of things. Well, just a few words about how this was built. So basically, in this case, the lookup tables were not used. Actually, all techniques that were used here were just business activity queries, like this one for the customer lists, and maybe let's zoom in it. Yeah, and Epicor user definable tables, like this one. Yeah, so basically, this was used, and of course, if I want to modify the data, let me just show you. Of course, I just need to put all the necessary parameters and data in my UD tables. Of course, I can also import the values here using data management tool, so the DMT. So that's another approach. Yeah? Instead of using lookup tables, you can use UD tables, but actually, well, the result is pretty much similar. Well, there are pros and cons of both options, but that may be another story. Okay, so that was the data approach was based on the user definable tables. Then actually, well, I just discussed this briefly before, but the whole configurator is based on user definable methods in this case. So basically we have our user definable methods just to populate our customer country, customer zip, enterprise, transportation company list, and so on. So basically, in this configurator, actually the Epicor database is queried heavily in order to bring all the options and manage the dependencies between those options. Okay, let's go here. The document rules is another part of the configurator. I actually mentioned this, but the document rules actually they deal with the documents, meaning that by using those rules, we can update our sales orders, we can update our quotations, we can update our production orders. So actually all the fields or a majority of the fields are exposed to the configurator, and we can just save some data in it. Like here, you can see we are saving our quantity from the configurator on our quote line as expected quantity and quantity to order. All right, okay. So that's it. Let's start the Q&A session, and this is that was my two examples about the let's say various configurator usage.
Okay, there are a few questions that came through, so I will just read from the first ones that came in. Can it enter a description that is something other than the choices selected, say like internal codes that refer to the choices and or final configuration?
I'm not sure I understood the question. Could you please maybe repeat it? Yeah.
Sure. Can it enter a description that is something other than the choices selected, say like internal codes that refer to the
Yeah, of
choices
course.
and
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
final
yeah, yeah.
configuration?
Okay, I got it. Sorry. So basically, yes. So well, we had like in the first example, actually, it was like when I select a type of glass, a particular type of glass. Actually, this type of glass become a stock code, yeah, on the bill of material. But well, that does not. Well, this was very simple example, really. Actually. Well, I can speak a little bit about our customer called Technogaia in Lithuania. Actually, we implemented the product configurator there. That was for the manufacturing, and well, they manufacture air filters, so filters for air conditioning. And actually, the one big question there is what kind of filtering material should be used. Yes. And well, there are various types of this material, but this material comes with different, sizes, different roll sizes, and so on. So actually, there is one thing that people select on the screen, and then there is like a calculation behind the scenes that result in actually putting on the bill of material a stock code that is completely different from, I mean, it's not completely different because it belongs to the group or something, but it's just based on the selection that user made. Yeah, it's just based, but well, it's not like one-to-one. Hope I answered the question.
Next one, what version of Epicor is required to use this? And then there was a follow-up on that. If Kinetic is required, can you
No,
use classic
no.
UI, or do you need to use the Kinetic UI?
Well, actually, well, you could see I was using like standard, I mean the old interface, not the Kinetic one. So what version is required? Well, it can be Epicor 10. Well, it can be Kinetic. Actually, it's your choice if you are using Kinetic screens or let's say the old ones. But just to build a configurator interface for Kinetic screens, you need to use the application studio for Kinetic, and Epicor Kinetic provides that. If you want to use the old interface, nothing prevents you from that. You can use the, let's say, the old Windows client interface to build configurator. It's your choice, really. Yeah. So first of all, Epicor 10 has it, Kinetic has it, and well, of course, in the old Epicor 10 version, you cannot use Kinetic configurator screens, but in the Kinetic version, you can use both Kinetic configurator screens and the old ones.
Awesome. For work instructions on configured parts, can you describe how does the configurator help in making sure that the right documents are present for the manufacturing job?
Well, by talking about instructions, actually, I meant the operation commands. So I'm not talking about attachments. I'm talking about operation commands. And as you know, when you create an operation, well, in the master operation file, you can put some instructions there. Yeah, it's a field that can contain more than 1,000 characters. So in terms of like text instructions, it's a lot. And then those operation commands, actually, they are normally copied over to the production order, and they are available for people working with the MES. So they can be displayed in MES on the screen. So the configurator just adds to that, like, well, a dynamic action. So you can modify, actually the configurator can modify the standard operation command and can put there whatever we really want. So the dimensions of things to be cut and so on. So, well, this is about this. Yeah. So,
Yeah. And he was wondering, he said that they need more than comments. Can documents not be attached?
the configurator, well, itself, it does not by default work. It doesn't work with the attachments, but I believe by using UD functions, you can probably kind of try to use them. But well, this is like not a standard functionality out of the box, but well, it can be reached. I understand that, well, we would like to kind of dynamically attach a PDF file. Yeah, this is probably what was meant. So I've never tried it, but I think that could be possible.
And the last one I had on here so far was, looks really good. Have you experience of hanging the configurator against inspection plans?
No, I haven't that experience, so I cannot Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I just misunderstood the question. It was about using the configurator to create inspection plans, right?
Yeah. If you want to, Stephen, get any more specific on that, but what I have in front of me is, have you experience of hanging the configurator against inspection plans? And then
Well, actually, I haven't. I think I understand the question. I haven't implemented this. Although, well, I saw the implementation, and of course, well, I have some experience or some exposure to that. I just created some demonstrations of that. So by using the configurator not as a product configurator, but just as a kind of a wizard to create an inspection plan form, yeah, that works. Yeah, this is what I can say. But I have I don't have a deep experience in that.
Stephen followed up and says, yes, correct. So when we have to record results during manufacture and the operation use MEs to answer these.
I'm sorry, but what was the question?
I think he was just responding to.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah. And I think that's all that we have up so far. Yep.
Okay.
Give it a second, see if anybody else wants to add any other questions in. All right. Well, it looks like we're at time anyway. So if you do have any other questions, you can feel free to reach out to me, Michelle with the EUG, and I can connect you guys. And then Cesaria, I don't know if you have any contact info that you want to put up if anybody has any questions, or everybody could just reach out to me and I can forward them to you guys. Well, thank you all so much. I appreciate it. And big thanks to Mindbox, to you, Cesaria, and Bartek for always doing a great presentation. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Everybody have a good day.
Okay, thank you very much.